Is it not working? Let me hit that button again. Oh no, I'm locked up. Can you guys hear me? Because I see the screen's freezing up.
We're live now. We're live now.
Hey, all right. Okay, we are live. Okay. Oh God, I was like, yeah, my screen froze up, and I was like, hey, I was
We're
like,
here.
Baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark. But what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Council. As always, this is the triad right here. We are waiting on Comic Book Bob. He should be joining us shortly, but. Fellas, let's go around the circle here. If you are wondering and confused who I am, my name is Antonio Bryce. I am a comic book creator. I have a comic book called Brand. It is ending in 11 days. We're trying to get to that $77,000 mark. You guys can help me out there. You can head to cardpress.com, check it out. And then over there on, it looks like on my right, my homie, my brother from another mother, the main man, Boogie Bentley. What's going on, Boogie?
Man, not a lot. Man, I host Comic Cast, a weekly comic book review podcast. I host Talkin' Vols, where we talk about the Tennessee Volunteers football team, but nothing excites me like the Wrestling Council. It's not homework, it's excitement. And I got a lot of crap to bitch about tonight.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it. And then the man from down under right there, Mr. Yuli Color. What's going on, Yuli? What's going on, baby?
Not much. I just got home from work. I own a comic book store. I read a lot of comics, but I also watch a lot of wrestling.
Well, Yuli, how can I get my comic books in your comic book shop?
Yeah, what the heck?
Hey, man, we should really talk about that.
Well, I've got a retailer.
You want to do it after it's printed, or?
Well, yeah. But like I said, we can work some stuff out, man.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I would love to. I'd love to be a hub if I could. For some things.
I just want to know that my book will be on it. I want to ship you my books, and I want you to take a photo of them on your shelves.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, we can talk we'll just talk business on air. You need to talk to me too. We got a sponsor, Dwayne's World, from my town, and I guarantee you I could get him to put some brand on the shelves too. We'll get that worked out.
Oh yeah, man. I love it, man. That's what it is. All right. But now, this has been an interesting last few days.
Yes, it has.
Some of you may know that I am a big fan of one James Cornette, Corny, the former manager of the Midnight Express, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Beautiful Bobby Eaton, Sweet Stan Lane. Love them. Back in the day, the tennis racket, the whole deal. But Jim Cornette hosts two podcasts, Jim Cornette Talking Sense, and then the Jim Cornette Drive-Through. And then, he's also got like the Experience or something.
Yeah, Jim Cornette Experience. I don't know what they do with the Drive-Through. It's like just on YouTube or something, isn't it? I just listen to the Experience.
No, it's syndicated too. I know it's on iTunes. That's the one that they give the email address where people send, and then they answer. That's the whole premise of that show. Oh, I see Comic Book Bob is joining us. Let me get him in here. But bam, Comic Book Bob. What's going on, player?
Sorry about that, guys.
You're here. You're here with, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
I wouldn't be anywhere but here this week, man.
But the Experience is, the main show. He talks about, hey, Raw, SmackDown, Ring of Honor, all that kind of, he hits on all that stuff on the main show. And then he has everybody, he wants to answer the fan questions on the Drive-Through. And that's when, Cornette Drive-Through at gmail.com or whatever you send the email in. And that's where he's kind of gotten in trouble over the last few weeks. There were a few incidents going back about a month ago. The announcer on AEW, he said something. He made a joke. He was talking. They were talking about. A fan wrote in because they said they were criticizing AEW, and one of the things they were saying is those guys are just going way too hard. They're taking way too many extreme risks and jumping off top rope.
It's entertaining. Heaven forbid they be entertaining.
Yeah, but it's not. And he explained it. He said, "Yeah, I'm not having a problem with the guys being entertaining." He said, "But the purpose is, you don't keep doing those moves. He said every time, because he criticized one of the guys because he always does the same move where he backflips off the top rope outside the ring, and he lands it all the time. And he said if you keep hitting those moves, it kind of erases some of the mystique from the, those are supposed to be high risk maneuvers, and the guy's like hitting it all the time out there and all that. And they were talking about when they were like slamming people's heads up against the rails on the outside. He said they were hitting, some of these guys are a little green, and he felt like they were going a little too hot with some of them, like bam, slamming. And a fan wrote in, he said, "Hey, I was at the show a few weeks ago, I think when they were down there in Charlotte, and there was a kid leaning up against the rail when they one of the wrestlers slammed the head up, and he actually ended up scraping his arm up against, and they freaked out because they were like, oh, they might sue us or something. They freaked out." So he was talking about that the wrestlers, all the baby faces came out and like, hey, they gave him free merch, like a little 12-year-old kid and everything. And one of the people they sent out to smooth everything over was that young guy that used to work for the little ring announcer guy that
Justin Roberts.
Yeah, the little pretty boy dude. And so they sent him out, and he goes, and Jim was like, "Can you imagine?" He's like he's saying he's got like a face like a child predator or something, like sending that guy out to talk to your kid. And another fan the following week wrote in. He apparently was a police officer, and he got real offended that Jim said that. And he wrote in, he's talking about he hoped that the guy sued him and all that. He's like, "You insinuated this guy's gosh." Yeah, it was crazy. And I mean, it's so funny listening to the clips on his YouTube channel of him, because he'll read the letter and then he just, calls the guy an idiot. And, he's like, "I am officially resigning from the cult of Cornette." And I mean, the guy, he wrote, and Jim said the guy wrote 14 paragraphs.
God dang.
Yeah, he wrote in 14 and he said people were on Twitter. People on Twitter saying that he called the guy a child predator or something. And he was getting all bent out of shape. And then another thing, there was another week he was criticizing AEW again about some of the spots they do. And he talked about one of the wrestlers, one of the guys that he doesn't like. I can't remember. It wasn't, it was one of the undercard guys. And he said the way he was in the ring, they should, get a rope and hang him. He was just joking, like they should, those guys should get a rope and hang. And all of a sudden, people on Twitter start going at Cornette and saying that he was advocating for this guy to commit suicide and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it was so many people on Twitter were going in on it. It was crazy. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the way Twitter is, it's just like, come on, man. I was like, people are so over the top with this social media, but it got so much traction that him saying that the guy, they should have a hanging for this guy, that the president or whoever is in charge of Cornette over at NWA, he talked to Jim, and Jim, I guess he called him and he said, "Jim, did you make fun of someone? Did you advocate for a guy committing suicide on the air?" And Jim says, "No." And I mean, and what was great when he was talking about on his podcast, he actually played the old clip of what he said. You could hear what he said, and the guy he was clearly joking. It was, it was whatever. And then he said this gentleman from NWA was like, "Well, can you promise me that you won't be making those kind of jokes on the air? You just want to make sure that you're not," he said, "Again, I never said that. So yeah, I can promise you, since I never said it in the first place." So I could hear then, and this was a couple weeks ago, I could hear then that Jim was kind of getting a little annoyed at the NWA anyway. I guess because he couldn't believe that the guy came at him like that. He was like, "No, these idiots on Twitter think I said that, and you could hear what I said. It's on the air." And so he kind of felt like they were being a little bit hoity-toity with him. And so then what happened a few days ago happened. He's doing, for NWA Power, he's doing the commentary. And it's Dick Murdoch's son, if I'm not mistaken, was in the ring wrestling. And I can't remember the other wrestler, but there are clips of it online now.
Yeah, but it's Nick Aldis. It was an NWA World Title match.
Yeah, and
Mickey James's husband.
Yeah, it was. Well, and like I said, I heard the clip because they took the stream down because people, I saw a lot of black folks were like, I will never listen to NWA again. And I was like, I don't get that triggered over stuff like that. But I did think the joke was insensitive where he talked about, he's the only man I know that could strap a bucket of chicken on his back and walk through Ethiopia. So it was real cringeworthy.
Yeah.
It was a stupid joke also.
But it was a joke.
It was
let me ask you this.
Somewhere in America,
clearly one
would
of these,
be more understandable.
One of the windows is not like the other. You can figure it out. So asking you legitimately, this is a legit conversation. What do you think should have happened to Jim Cornette? Should it be an apology and then move on, or not even say anything and just
I wouldn't apologize for shit, man.
Just keep doing what you're doing and not worry about
moving, man. Because here's the thing, and he said this, he actually talked about it before. He just went ahead and resigned. But he addressed it a few days ago, I think on the drive-through last Friday when they uploaded it on YouTube. I heard it. And he was like, I've made that joke a few times in the past when I've done commentary. He's done a lot of heel commentary on various wrestling programs.
And he's great at commentary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's one of his standard, just like, Bobby Heenan used to call everybody ham and eggers and stuff. This is one of his standard bits when he would do the commentary. So he said that on the air before. That was one of his regular jokes that pops really. Because, especially like when he's doing
the heel.
Yeah. Well,
goddamn balloon.
Yeah, everybody got woke on it all of a sudden. It's like, I was like, are we gonna go back like 10 years ago and find a clip of him saying the same thing? I'm like, it's trigger.
I am now.
It's crazy because he was like, yeah, I've said that on the air before. Nobody said it. It's like, yeah, but it's 2019 now, almost 2020. Everybody's listening to every other word that you say now. And so the triggering begins because he couldn't believe it. He was like, I've said that before and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, if he would have said pizza, would it have been okay?
Sure, nobody would have said a word if he said pizza.
If he said pizza, nobody.
I think a rule going forward is from now on, use pizza for any kind of food you're going to use.
Just say he could strap a steak to his back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you know what? I agree with you, Antonio. Never bend the knee, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's the thing, because like I said, when the guy talked to him about the suicide joke, he was like, oh, come on, man. I didn't even say that on your air. I said that on my podcast. Now, this one, he said on NWA air. And so, and he didn't, and I don't, he's supposed to address it on the next episode. So I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to hearing his response. But this goes into it. It definitely, when you start talking about fried chicken and stuff like that, that kind of gets into that whole Southern wrestling thing that you see a lot of these old shoot videos with black wrestlers. You see videos with Teddy Long and they're talking about Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and the Horsemen and all the, the Wyndhams and all the little things that used to happen in the Southern territories when, with black wrestlers. The story Mark Henry told about like the New Age Outlaws and Shawn Michaels and all them, and they mixed feces into his food and was wanting Mark Henry to let him eat it and all this kind of thing. This kind of stuff, I found it a little funny because one thing I do criticize Cornette about is he's a typical Southern liberal to me, where all conservatives are racist. All this, he always makes these weird blanket statements about conservatives.
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show you that liberals can be a little insensitive too.
Yep.
Oh, God, man.
I just thought that was a little strange because he's always Trump's a racist, a bigot, blah blah. You guys that voted for him are idiots, but he goes hard on conservatives all day long.
Yeah. Now let me talk about that bucket of fried chicken. That's like, come on, man.
What's funny to me though is everybody's coming after Cornette, and rightfully, I mean, whatever. He's the one that said it. But the NWA, it's taped. It's TV tapings. It's not live. So it went straight through editing. It went straight through production. Everybody lets it ride. And then when people get pissed,
Cornette's
the fall
take
guy.
it down and re-edited it.
And Cornette's the fall guy.
Yeah,
He resigned. Bullcrap.
Who's the guy who missed this in editing?
Yeah.
But they let it. I don't know if he said it on NWA air before, but that was one of the things he had said on the drive-through. He's like, I've used that joke before, and no one said anything.
He's done it, and I think he did it in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah, that was because that was the thing. He was a perfect heel, and he used to piss me off when I'd see him come out. He'd make jokes about going to a bad neighborhood with black guys and stuff. He'd do those kind of jokes. That's the type, but he was a heel. You understand? I mean, I want my bad guys to be bad guys.
How far can you go to do that, though, these days? I mean, you hear about like the near riots that happened, back in the day. I'm sure there were some things that were said to make it that way. You can't. You got to be a little careful these days.
Oh yeah, that's what
how far can you get into the character to be hated? If you're not so filthy and disgusting, you're going to be enjoyed by people after a while, and you're not a heel after a while, even though you're still playing a heel. Because it's so watered down.
Well, what was the guy? What was the guy? What was it? Joey Styles, the ECW guy. He got fired he did the Trump joke. He did the grab him by the pussy thing, and he got fired from the air. That's why they let him go from WWE. Mm-hmm. He did that. So, I mean, they were like, oh, he's being insensitive, and they let him. And that was so tame. I was like, everybody was making those jokes on like late night talk shows and stuff. And he got fired. So. Yeah.
Well, Vince doesn't want his employee doing stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. It's his good friend, right?
Yeah. Was it Billy Corgan that went?
Yeah, Billy Corgan. I'm curious if Jim actually talked to Billy before he decided to resign.
That's why I was wondering when you said that someone came and talked to him. I was like, was it Billy that came and talked to him?
No, it's I can't remember he mentioned the guy's name. He's like the executive or whatever in charge of the program or whatever.
All right.
So
guaranteed Billy Corgan knows exactly what kind of person Jim Cornette is.
Yeah, they've known each other for years.
Yeah, have they worked in TNA together also?
Yeah. Well, Billy was trying to buy TNA, which they probably should have just sold that to TNA. He had a deal for TNA, and then it got jacked up or something.
Oh, yeah. Dixie did him.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't even her. I can't remember.
I know Dixie did a lot of people. I'm just saying. Scott Hall? Couple of the guys, she was a doorknob, I heard, but
I'm not mad at Dixie Carter. Are you?
Yeah, well, no, she
mad at her. I don't know. Letting Hogan and his stooges.
Come on, dude. I'm saying she's hot. I'm saying she's hot.
Oh yeah.
Come on,
yeah.
Sorry,
you're too old.
There's some things that are unforgivable. Fortune 4, that kind of stuff.
We got any more racist jokes we want to tell? Or are we going to talk about?
No. Were we telling those right now? I didn't remember.
Antonio up there just dropping them.
Yeah, man.
What else has Jim said?
But but like I said, I just thought it was funny because Jim, like I said, Jim goes hard. Trump supporters are stupid. You guys are racist. Blah blah blah. He goes all this kind of stuff, and he's telling fried chicken jokes. But I just thought that was funny. But I like corny. I will. And another thing, I would again. He's always one of those apologists when you hear those old videos of people talking about all the racist stuff that Dusty Rhodes did, all the racist stuff that the Horseman Ric Flair did and stuff back in the day. He go, well, look, it was a different time, and Rick was always one that got along with the boys, but yeah, he may have said something. Dusty, they were old school, and I, he would always just say because he loved Dusty, he loved Rick. So
Jim Cornette's been living in that day for a long time now.
Yeah,
but you know what? There's so many things I agree with him on, and maybe this will segue us. I don't know, but it's like I was trying to watch NXT. It's so hard for me to watch NXT. Because I do Talking Balls on Wednesday night, and then I go upstairs and immediately watch AEW. Got up this morning at 5:00, worked
AEW
all day.
Was pretty good, by the way.
Gym, jiu-jitsu. I just got crap going on. It's hard to get into NXT, but I tried to sit down and watch it. And there was a match that in my brain should be one of the greatest matches in the history of wrestling. And that's Red Dragon, Undisputed Era, whatever you want to call him, versus the Revival. But to agree with Jim Cornette, it's heel versus heel. It does not work. What makes a good wrestling match is when you got a guy like MJF that you hate, versus a guy like Cody Rhodes that everybody loves, and it creates that crowd atmosphere, and that's something that's out of control of the wrestler's hands. But I love. It'll never be this. Wrestling will never be the same. It's never going to be like you're talking about riots. You're never going to see. Although back in the late 90s, I wrestled in Kentucky, and they still think it's real, and it's just different. They do. But for the most part, you're not going to create riots. You're not going to get that. The MJF taking the Coke to the face a couple of weeks ago, that was a plant. That's not even real. That stuff doesn't happen anymore. So there's a lot of things I agree with Cornette on. I miss that old. That's what I grew up on was Smoky Mountain, man. I loved it. I loved it when you knew something was different, but it's different. And I love old school wrestling and I love modern wrestling. I can like it all, but I get some of his points.
I like a lot about modern wrestling, but I do prefer a lot of the old school because he says that people criticize him for being, he's like, oh, you're stuck in that old dinosaur age or whatever, and this is the way new wrestling is. And he's like, I just want good wrestling. If it's this age, the past, or whatever, I just want the product on the screen because he's like, that's the only way to save the wrestling business is to get consistent. He said all that weird where he keeps going in on Kenny Omega with the jazz hands and all this. He was like, that's the stuff that's going to ruin this business. But Kenny Omega is way over.
But Kenny Omega uses stuff that they would do in like Japan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have seen a growth that the WWE would be pretty happy to get.
Yeah. Especially when they were doing the Bullet Club stuff. They were, dominating.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't had anything that. I mean, Bullet Club invaded, the WWE. We now have all their, people basically, or they have all their people.
WWE, AEW, NXT, Ring of Honor. They're in every major organization.
I guess so, but I mean, it's starting to get, NWO Red, NWO Black after.
Brian Caraway just made a good point. He said we have so few true heels anymore. Everybody wants to be a cool heel. They want to sell T-shirts like the Bullet Club, and that's why one of the best matches of the week. And I don't even like either team. One of the best matches of the week for me was Santana and Ortiz versus Private Party, and it's because Private Party it was good old fashioned Jim Cornette wrestling. Yeah, they weren't flipping and flopping. It was slow. The heel teams beating down Private Party. The hot tag was amazing. There was a botch, and people are blaming the referee. It's not the referee. It wasn't the referee. Yeah. Santana's supposed to pull the referee, and he didn't. And you could tell that by the next spot that took place where there was a flip that was supposed to go over Paul Turner's head. Whatever, that's a rant. Great match, man.
Yeah.
It didn't end with the big everybody's in the ring at the same time, hitting every move that they've got.
Right. Yeah,
it was a good, solid, just really well worked match, and I think it was the best match of the night.
Well, I loved it. I really like Cornette's analysis of AEW Full Gear and the following AEW Dynamite from the previous week. I thought he had dead on takes, especially like when he was going in on the Riho match. He went in on the lights out match with Moxley and Kenny Omega. Yeah. I mean, he made me look at that a lot differently. He made me look at it differently, and he said, you're using a real weapon in a fake fight and you're hurting. He was on fire. The stuff he was dropping so many truth bombs on it. That's why I was like, I'll still listen to him. That's kind of the fun of these people that kind of are the heel. He said a lot of these guys like Kenny Omega say that I'm just being, I'm doing a work trying to get views for my podcast or whatever, get streams. And he said, I don't need the money. He said, the podcast is doing fine. He said, the worst thing I ever did is figured out I could just tell the truth to y'all.
I think I think it's what he believes, and it's elevated. It's just like the wrestling business. It's what he believes. But to counter him there, and he makes so many great points. That's why I listen to him, because listen, I disagree on him with so many things, not wrestling, other things. And he goes on and on and on, and it's still entertaining. But when he's talking about wrestling, he makes a lot of good points. But to counter argue that when he's talking about using weapons and they're really hurting each other. Well, look, guys go out there and they work punches and they work forearms and they work this and that. When I used to wrestle, and yes, it was a cup of coffee, but I've told you guys before, I would tell the guys before we went through the curtain, I'm going to hit you. You better hit me back. Because there are people sitting in the front row, and if I kick you in the stomach and you bend over, if I hit you as hard as I can with this meat of my forearm on the back of your between your shoulder blades, it makes that sound. And if there's somebody in the front row that goes home and they go, I know wrestling's fake, but I saw that Justin Matthews cat, and he beat the shit out of that guy. That was real. So they left going, there was something different about that guy. So when Kenny Omega's out there with John Moxley and they're grinding when he hit Moxley with that bar bat and Moxley's immediately bleeding, what'd you think? Did you go, oh, that's fake? Or did you go, holy crap, he just freaking blasted him and blood immediately? Real. It's becoming real all of a sudden.
It's that visceral nature from the old days. It's a little bit of, it's obviously controlled, but it's a little taste of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. I think that AEW's kind of, I think they're putting their feelers out and they're going, okay, what works here, what works there. So they're pulling a little bit of that old school in while still trying to keep that new flair. Now, I do agree with Cornette that I think like it's getting to the point with especially the tag matches where I'm expecting that situation at the end where everybody's in the ring at the exact same time.
Yep.
All hitting every friggin' spot that they've got. And I do think that's something they need to move away from. I do agree with him on that. But at the same time, I'm like, it's a different product, man. It's a different product for a different time.
Well, one of the I really liked when he talked about the Moxley Omega match, he felt like that they just choreographed way too much of it. He said they clearly came out and mapped their spots and did everything before the match. And and he didn't like, they had that ramp going to the ring. He didn't like that, but he said in some venues you have to have it. And I mean, he was just really breaking it down. I thought, and he actually thought the ramp was in the way, but he thought it helped with the the Cody Rhodes match. When Cody took that bump and busted, because he said obviously that was an accident, but that helped. But he was a little upset that the ring guy stopped the bleed. He said he should have left it bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, well, that was the commission. The commission's not going to let that go.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
They didn't want another repeat of that match that Eddie Guerrero had where he damn near bled to death.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like WWE now. If you get busted, which they don't blade, if you get busted open hard way in WWE, there's a guy immediately putting a towel on your face trying to stop the bleeding. And I hate it. I get it. I understand it. If you've ever watched Nigel McGuinness, if you've ever watched his documentary, Getting Hepatitis C, and he's like, I've never had unprotected sex. I never shared needles. There's only one thing I did, and that's have what we used to call in the wrestling business an AIDS match, where I blade, you blade, and everybody's sharing blood. He's like, that's the only thing I did. I know that's where I got it. So, I mean, I get it. Unless you're going to test everybody in the locker room.
It's weird, though. Like on AEW, all the refs are wearing gloves now.
Yeah.
They're all wearing gloves. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is where we're at now.
So speaking of AEW and Dynamite, what do you guys think of the matches this week?
They were good on paper.
Yeah, I thought the Luchasaurus and that's I don't
you didn't like that? I loved it.
Thought that was pretty good.
The Jungle Boy and the Marco Stunt?
Yeah.
I loved when Hager and Luchasaurus were face to face and they paused and they let the crowd react. Hager's taking his watch off. And then again, this is Cornette 101. The heel is a chicken shit. And he powders and he leaves the ring. And Luchasaurus is like, come on, let's do this. And Hager's like, I'm good.
Do we know what's going on with Hager? I'm assuming he's under some kind of non-compete or something.
I would assume.
Yeah,
no, I mean he's got to have a fight coming up. He's gonna wrestle. He's going.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they're just using him for eye candy now. Because I was like,
he's the heater. He's the big guy. Stand behind Jericho.
Yeah,
muscle.
He's the muscle. I think he's got 2 fights scheduled, and then after that, I think he's taking a little bit of a break. He's got because I know that they signed him for at least 1 match. But I'm like, they're building some storylines here. They got the Luchasaurus coming in and staring him down. Like, I ain't afraid of you.
I love it.
It might be taking a little longer than I wanted to. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how long is he gonna just show up and be the tough guy? I'm like, dude, can you have him hitting some people? Can we do that? I don't know.
There was this one moment when Luchasaurus put, I think, Marco's stunt on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And Marcos, or maybe it was,
he had Jungle Boy on his shoulders.
It was Jungle Boy. So he was a bigger guy, and he's wearing these little shorts. And I was thinking, Boogie, did you ever put a guy on your shoulders?
I don't want to do junk on my neck, dude. Sorry, man.
I gotta make a comment about the women's match, man. I am really not sold on Britt Baker.
She's got to go.
Dude, the right person won that match.
Dude, I was watching that match and I told my wife, I said, Britt Baker is only on this show because she is a dentist and they throw that down your face. And she's dating Adam Cole, who is buddies with the Young Bucks.
And I like her size.
But she's not good.
She's hot. I think that if she had more seasoning, nice body, man. But the thing is it's obvious that she doesn't have enough seasoning to be in there. Every pro that they put her in there, like when they put her in there against somebody who's a legit pro,
dude, Sheeta is great.
They have to slow. Yeah, she had to slow herself down to bring herself down to Britt's level.
But you know what I like? You know what I like about AEW? I was sitting there and I said, there's no way Britt Baker is going to lose this match. Absolutely no way. And then Sheeta wins. And I'm like, they're listening. Yeah. AEW is listening. Now, something they need to listen to is their fans complaining about the audio. Because if I was a new listener I tuned into AEW, I would have changed the channel because you couldn't even hear the commentary. The battle royal for some stupid ring or what. I had no idea what was going on because I can't hear the commentary because they have the mics on the crowd and the ring too loud. You could hear it, Yul?
I downloaded it. In fact, this download that I had actually had no commercial break. We get the small box. Mm-hmm. So it was all wrestling the whole time. So I was privy to the very, very slow commercial breaks. It was like, I'll punch you and I'll walk to the rope and I'll sit on it for a second and I'll get up and then, that happened a lot.
Well, that's TV wrestling.
I know.
But in the replay, they actually did some doctoring to the audio. But in the live show, that's something that they at this point they should have somebody working on that.
You can't do that. Any new listener is going to immediately tune out. Immediately.
Yeah. That's like that. Some of the audio issues, the Britt Baker match. That's the reason why this is the second week in a row. I give it to NXT, man. They put on a better show.
Let me tell you why I don't agree. Because I'm so freaking sick of WWE right now. I'm so every single match ends with a run-in. 42 people.
I'm getting to the point where I just can't wait till Survivor Series is over.
It's the same booking every Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait for the idiots to run out with the blue and red shirts on. And I saw the greatest tweet on social media this week. And it said, how did I know who was fighting who when the Inner Circle ran in? Because they didn't have colored shirts on to tell me. WWE, we're not idiots. We can figure it out. And then Cesaro has Fox written on the back of his shirt.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. You gotta love that.
No, NXT doesn't. Nope. This could be a draw because there was a lot that happened in AEW that I didn't like, but NXT cannot win because no.
I really liked NXT.
That was the one in the show this week. I was like, why is every freaking match ending with a scrum?
Yeah, it did
every match.
That way. Well, they have to be very strong going in.
Are we going to address CM Punk and Seth Rollins' little spat?
WWE backstage is the best thing I watched in wrestling this week. The show. Did you all watch?
I
the
didn't
actual
watch it.
show?
Yeah.
I watched. They got a lot of clips of it on YouTube, and I watched.
It's great.
Like,
It was great.
Okay.
and then I saw Seth Rollins. Because they were I followed the WWE on Fox Twitter account, and they had the clip of CM Punk talking about Seth Rollins. Just Seth Rollins quote tweeted and called him a coward. Are they actually going to get to do a match? Or because CM Punk was on with Colin Cowherd a few days ago, and he was like, "I'm not working for the WWE. I work for Fox."
Well, did you hear what he said on backstage? It was cool because Renee Young sat down with him, and it was kind of a one-on-one interview. Why are you here? What are you doing? What was the lead up to this? And he's like you just said, I work for Fox. I don't work for WWE. I'm not here for that. And then they asked him about Seth Rollins, and he was like, dude, just shut up and stop tweeting. He said, and that's what I love is because he was real. He basically said, I'm not here to shoot your little angles and do your bull crap. I'm here to talk wrestling. And I don't work for the WWE, and I can say anything I want. And I loved it. They were talking about the Roman Reigns on SmackDown. How horrible was that? The dog, the mascot dog, the music.
The big dog.
Well, they asked Punk about it. And Booker T's over there trying to sell it. Oh, it was great. I enjoyed it. And Punk goes, really? Because it was awful. And they were like, my, everybody's freaking out because everybody there is on a WWE contract. And they're like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And he looked at Paige and goes, it was terrible, wasn't it? And she was like, they had no clue how to react.
They're still paying me.
Yeah. The first half of Raw was just awful.
There's Malin. Oh, he's John Malin says tell Boogie.
What do you want to see, Malin? My mouth? Do you want to see my mouth, John Malin?
Oh,
my life's complete because John Malin said my name.
Oh my goodness!
I'm a huge John Malin mark, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
God, get some more people in here. You got to get this pop out of here, man.
Well, okay, hold up. Since we were talking about Renee Young, there's a small rumor, and I noticed the way they have her dressed. Is she carrying a little Moxley?
It's possible. I mean, I'm sure that they're, I don't want to use the word on here with.
I'm just saying. I noticed the shirt was a little loose, and she
just got blasted like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
she got the bloody nose. She was pissed too.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
That was the most real she ever sounded on the.
I think, man, you get that mad sex going. That's usually what ends up happening.
What just happened?
Oh man, I'm just curious. I thought some of the wrestling sites were kind of speculating that she might have a bun in the oven, and I was like,
"Hey, ask John Malin if this is better. If this, I'm going to turn my camera off and tell him. Does that look better? Is that better? Is that better?
Hilarious.
Hey, John, is that better, buddy?
My man Boogie. That's what I'm talking.
My gimmick, bro. Don't come in and tear down my gimmick.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna go on. What's happening with Punk? Punk is posturing. Punk is he's waiting for that. He's waiting for that Bill Goldberg friggin' Saudi Arabia paycheck. That's what he's doing.
Yep, 100%. 100%. I agree.
That's what he's doing. And it's and I guarantee you, like, the reason why he's pushing hard on people like Seth is because he's like, that's a match people will be crazy to see.
He's company man Punk.
Yep. He's working for the smart money Punk, and that's what he's doing.
But I cannot imagine, because I think we talked about it last week. He denied sitting down with Tony Khan, and they're like, no, he sat down with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan offered him a fat stack of cash. So is that WWE Saudi Arabia money just bigger than anything Tony Khan can deliver?
I think it's the idea that he can do that one match, maybe two matches, get a giant paycheck, and then go do whatever he wants, or sign a contract with AEW and maybe do like the Brock thing.
Yeah,
but he's looking at them going, which one gives me the most freedom, and which one gives
do it for me
to do anything.
His worth is long term. He has to be a one-time character. I don't see it as being something I care about.
I don't know, but the casual fan is going to tune in.
If they get something like Japan, I was like dreaming that one match, but if it's this one match to go to WWE,
how much money did Goldberg get for that Saudi Arabia?
Man, nice.
Didn't it suck?
But how much more of an impact and a legacy? It's like Jericho talking about his legacy going to AEW and building something. How much more of a legacy would it leave if Punk said, I'm going to go to AEW and help them build something? Whereas if he comes to WWE, do you think casual fans care? Like, I'm sure, I mean, a lot of people will tune in and watch it, but they're probably already subscribed to the network anyway.
They were getting CM Punk chants before this Fox thing.
Oh, yeah.
When there was a real boring moment. And I'm like, wow, it still happens.
Yeah, I do think the Guild, a lot of the Guild is off the lily, though. I don't think that he. I don't
Dude,
think
if AEW shits the bed in Chicago, they might get a CM Punk chant. It can happen, you know?
That is true. That is true.
But, yeah, I mean, I thought AEW was good this week. I thought Raw had a couple of decent moments, but that first half of them, oh, God.
So you still like the Lana angle, right?
Oh no, that's the worst, dude.
That is eye cancer, I swear.
No, Rusev said it was the best angle in wrestling.
Oh, it is.
Wait, who said that?
Rusev. He said it was the best.
Yeah, he's
angle.
down with it.
You know what? I think that's Rusev just going, oh God, please someone tell me that I'm not wasting my time and I'm just making an idiot of myself. I don't want to be a fool.
So bad.
There were two AEW moments I really liked. I enjoyed the Kenny Omega promo where he's like lifting weights and then he didn't have a lot of weight on there.
That's good.
I thought
that's AEW,
funny.
Man. Just
and I like the Dark Order thing also.
I'm glad
they're trippy and cool and
you liked it. Oh God, I didn't know.
I didn't like Excalibur saying it was reaching out to the marginalized, but other than that, I thought it was really cool. Yeah,
I'm just glad that they're finally doing something with them.
No, wait a minute. I forgot. We never talked about it because it happened after we went off the air last week. The Tony Schiavone birthday party at the seafood restaurant where Excalibur choked out. Who was the guy?
Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah. We didn't address that. Man. I wanted to talk about that. Yeah,
that was real. No, it was real. What happened?
It was definitely real. Yeah.
Havoc came back. And Havoc was like 4 sheets to the wind, man. He came in there, and it was. I can't remember exactly what started it, but it was something stupid. And then Excalibur was just like, "Well, I'm gonna put you down, dude."
I love that Excalibur. The announcer choked out the wrestler. That's what I love.
Yeah. Jim Cornette talked about this. I had to throw that out there because he was like, because he found out what happened. You know, he's friends with Tony.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like, we're not doing our job. I wanted to talk about that.
My mic's still too loud.
It's just buzzy
a little.
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
love you, Bob.
It's always sounded so good. I don't know if it's a setting this week.
Dude, it's that kind of a week. I'm telling you, man. It's just
we're bashing AEW's audio while Bob's going. Rah, 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 rah.
I'm sorry, guys, and I promise you next week it'll be better.
AEW also has a problem with they have a lot of slight guys coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, if Marco Stunt is like your small guy, then who is that Darby Allin guy?
Dude,
I'm done with that guy.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me because his match with Moxley was perfect.
It was.
It was too long. Again,
Moxley should have. Dude, he was fighting from underneath the whole time.
Love Moxley, the finish. The finish was great.
It was. When he won, I was really happy.
But Moxley
should have done a little bit more. That guy should have bled.
Beat him down like 90% of the match.
Oh, it was horrible.
All you got to do, I don't care what your opinion is and what you like. All you got to do is listen to the crowd when he comes out because AEW is paying attention to crowd reaction.
Well, that's fine. But, if you want to, I just don't. And it's not only that. There's the Jurassic guy. I know he's in a tag, but still. Or Marco. He's there. Or
but what are you going to do? Because
my girlfriend says that Adam Page looks like Dolph Ziggler, and I'm like, oh no.
What are you going to do? Because I was having this conversation with Brian Caraway in the chat this week. We were talking about the size of the wrestlers in AEW, and he was like, "Dude, I thought Scorpio Sky was a big dude." And then he's face to face with Jericho, and he's like, "Wow, he's small."
Well, okay, hold up. I want to talk about that.
He plays taller than some of those other guys.
No, wait a minute.
He's thicker and older.
The Battle Royal. the battle royal that they did. Because when they put Billy Gunn in there,
Billy Gunn, he's a monster.
He was the biggest guy, and Billy Gunn's 56 years old,
and he's sticking needles in his ass every night.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he was.
Hey, that's all Scorpio needs is a little bit of that.
I was shocked how much he towered over. I didn't see him as that huge guy in WWE. I mean, I liked him.
He was
Mr. Ass as a wrestler and all that.
Big dude.
What you think of the Sonny Kiss? What you think of the Sonny Kiss spot?
It was cool.
You know what I like about it?
It didn't play off because of MJF, right?
Well, that's why I liked it. That's what I liked because Sonny Kiss is doing his bits and shaking his ass, whatever he's doing, and MJF's like, nope, you guys can't laugh at this, and he shit cans him. He's gone. And then also Orange Cassidy, hands in the pockets, goes to do his gimmick. Crowd's eating it up. MJF says, nope, done. That's a true heel. That's why MJF is so good for AEW.
Yeah,
he's putting on size too. He's getting big.
Yeah,
boy, he is tiny, boy. I will say that.
MJF, he's putting on muscle though. He's putting on muscle.
He's got great physique.
When Jericho leaves the company, he can bequeath to him his lifts.
He said, "Queef."
Dude, look at this. This comment's great from the wise man. Look at that. That is so true.
Wait,
nobody's a better babyface than Cody. Nobody's a better heel than MJF, a better badass than Moxley, and a better champion than Jericho. And then you've got a competitor. That is AEW in a nutshell, right there.
They're very good at that.
That's why it's so good.
Two or three more women that are worth a damn, and that could be good too.
WWE is so much better with the women's division.
Yeah, that's true.
Kairi Sane's contract is up in 4 months, and she said she's not happy. Which that was a cool moment this week on NXT.
You mean you like those leather pants?
Let me see. Okay, so ACH.
Going back to this racist stuff again.
Yeah. Well, hold up. No, I just want to talk about it. We talked about it on the previous episode. ACH. They were saying whether or not WWE was going to grant him their release before we went on the air. A couple hours before we went on the air, they did, and WWE put out a statement. He's free. They just dropped him. They must not figure they could get anything out of it. They're like, yeah, he's done. They're not.
Yeah, because he's already booked. He's already booked on other shows.
That's what I'm saying. They cut him. They let him have his release. So I'm like,
oh, dude, that guy. Oh, jeez.
And another one. The Ring of Honor Women's Champion. She got her release about 2 hours ago. It came out on the wire. I tweeted that out.
Sadly, I don't even know who that is. And I used to love Ring of Honor.
Kelly Klein,
Kendall something. I can't.
Kelly Klein. Where's she gonna go? She's like, I'm on my release in WWE and AEW. Like,
but I mean, she's got the belt right now, and they let her go.
Maybe she'll show up somewhere and throw the trash can.
Dude, that moment between Kairi and Io Shirai, I'm like, damn, that was pretty cool. They were both hot as hell. So, that's her former tag partner, man. That's just the look on Io's face was like, really?
Yay, women.
Yeah, I like the pop also. Yeah,
yeah. But Io's contract is up in 4 months, and I think Asuka's is up in like 9 months. And they're pretty much crapping on them, so I'm
that's too bad
to take off.
But they might just go back home, right?
Well, yeah, they said that Kairi might go back to New Japan.
Because who's Asuka's husband? He's somebody that does a promotion over there, right?
Yeah, he does the junior promotion for Ring of Honor for New Japan.
Dude, there's apparently some issues going on between New Japan and Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
Ring of Honor.
That would be great if New Japan would work something out with AEW and get some of their talent coming over. I don't know how you could work that out. It works in Ring of Honor. I don't know that it would work in AEW, but that would be interesting if it did.
Yeah.
Adam Moneta says Ring of Honor went to hell after the Elite left. Yeah, and when's Marty Scurll done? Get that guy in AEW already.
I think he's done in like a month.
It's the new year, right? January, February, probably. Yeah.
But Ted Zagaro, he a good comment. He said, "I'm joining AEW, but the women's division is weak. Britt Baker is overrated." Yep,
we talked about that earlier, guys. Yep. There's 22 of you hanging out in the live chat. Make sure you smash that like button, share out the link, tell your friends about the wrestling.
Yeah, we got the phone, man. We got to get that thing out of here.
Yeah, it's sitting over there on a comic long box staring at me. Looking like Jeff from World War.
I need to ask Jeff if he'll come on. It was
Dude,
like,
we should just get him to take it. I'll
Yes.
just mail it to him. If he'll come on the show, I'll just send it to him to make himself.
Better yet, tell him, like, dude, you gotta take a picture of yourself, hold it up, wearing a singlet like that.
Dude, it really does look exactly like
yeah, exactly.
That would be awesome.
That is true.
But yeah, man, one thing I do want to wonder is, like, is Cole going to keep wrestling hurt like this, man? I mean, that's pretty. I don't want the guy to get put on the shelf, man. But wrestling with what's he got? He's still got an injured wrist, man.
Adam Cole does?
Yeah, he's still in the cast, man. I'm like, they must be desperate to keep him pushing like that.
They don't have that many.
They
people.
have Ciampa, and they also have Finn Balor over there, so they could move it if it needs to happen.
What are they going to do with the belt, though? Because War Games, what is that, tomorrow night?
Yeah.
It's you got Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, Damian Priest, who is terrible. Damian Priest is awful. Sorry. The winner gets a NXT title shot. So who's he going to drop the belt to? Pete Dunne?
I like Pete Dunne a lot. He won me over. He's
I think he's got to drop it to Ciampa. I think you got to put it back on Ciampa just because he's got so much good push on him right now with coming back from that injury.
Ciampa's great.
Ciampa's awesome, man.
Yeah,
but
he is so good.
So what do you guys think about the Survivor Series this week, man?
Oh, dude, I'm looking at the match list right now in front of me, and there's some good stuff I'm excited about. The women's match is going to be great. Lynch, Shayna Baszler, Bayley. That'll be good.
That one. That's actually high on my list.
I think all of the tag match, Viking Raiders, Undisputed Era, New Day will be great. AJ Styles, Roderick Strong, and Nakamura. That may be the match of the night. That AJ, Roderick Strong, Nakamura. That'll be great.
That could be really good.
Oh yeah, dude. The middle card titles.
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
All three of those dudes can go. The show is going to be like 7 hours though. The two Survivor Series elimination matches with all three brands.
It's going to be ridiculous.
Dude, it's going to take forever. It's either going to take forever or people are going to get eliminated in 30 seconds.
That's why they say go home and in the match.
Yeah.
Real quick question. The only match that didn't end in a scrum was my God, my brain is like taking a complete fart on me right now.
Bob, what are you doing?
Yeah, what show, dude?
NXT,
every match.
All right, here, let me ask you a question.
NXT.
I was looking at Scott Dawson, and he looks like a really small Michael Elgin.
Yeah, that's the Revivals match. That's the only one that didn't end in a scrum, and the Revival lost after they put out those tweets and everything saying "screw the money, let's be happy." Do you think that's why they went over to NXT and they're the only ones from the main brand that lost?
I hope so. I hope so.
So that they can come to AEW.
Yes.
Yeah. They're old. I like them so much, the Revival, but I also really like Red Dragon. I mean, Undisputed Era also.
That match just doesn't work. Like I said,
I don't care. It does, because you know what? It's brands, and I have to care. So you know
nobody
what?
Cared.
I didn't care.
Cared.
I just wanted to see that happen, and it did, and it was unfortunately it should have gone like a time limit draw. That's where AEW is again better than WWE. They have a little thought process, and they can we have till the end of the show. You know, I get a cheap victory against Jericho, but you hang it out.
Have you ever seen the Red Dragon Ring of Honor compilation DVD?
No.
I would highly recommend picking it up. It's their matches in Ring of Honor that they put on that DVD are some of the best, and it's probably dirt cheap now at this point.
And there's Bucks stuff in there. I can't even remember all the teams they probably went up against.
Is it just me, or does Dash Rider look like a young Arn Anderson?
Well, he definitely wrestles like him.
Yeah, I get flashbacks of old school Horsemen and Brainbusters when I watch those.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, nobody really does. I mean, if it was the Brainbusters, there's not really a Tully. But,
they had a bad botch in that match, though. I don't know what.
What was the botch? I sometimes look away.
It was one of the Revival was coming off the top, and Bobby Fish went for a kick. I think it was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what the miscommunication was. And again, this is a match that I should have said, oh, this is the best match of the week, but instead. Private Party and LAX, proud and powerful, whatever.
I hate that name, proud and powerful. I hate that name.
Now I'm gonna go for the other one.
Really, you thought that match was better?
Yeah, even with all the I don't care about the two teams.
Let's just end this draw.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think, Antonio, Bob? What was better, Private Party versus LAX or the Revival versus Undisputed Era?
I think as far as the match itself was concerned, I think the Revival better.
What do you know, Bob? You showed up late.
I think
LAX and Private Party to me.
Yeah, that's because we know what's up. That's what we know.
Do we need to ask people to leave comments down below?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Leave a comment. Which match is better?
Yeah, chat, vote. Yeah, we drop it down there. And
I mean, come on, think about
Any
it. Red
comment.
Dragon,
what was the match of the night? What was the match?
Fish, Kyle O'Reilly.
If this is my channel, I would kick you off the stream already.
No,
I do think that the Private Party LAX match worked better. Like it played to their strengths. But like you said, two heel teams going at each other. You know, that's just you're not getting. It's kind of like who you're rooting for.
Yeah, crowd reaction is a big part of enjoying matches.
They were in NXT and they were the home team. You know,
this is putting you all on the spot. What's your favorite match of all time?
Ooh,
probably
Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Pontiac Silverdome. Boom.
Wait, who? What'd you say, Antonio?
Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Pontiac Silverdome.
How crazy was that crowd reaction?
WrestleMania 3, baby. I watched it.
How crazy was that crowd reaction? It was the roof blew off the place. Mine, this shows my age too. Rock Hogan, because I was an '80s kid that loved Hogan, and then when I got to the teenage years, I loved The Rock, and that crowd reaction was insane.
But you guys are wrong because it's Bret Hart versus Steve Austin when the double turn worked.
That's a great match too.
Ooh, that's a great match. They featured in Bret Hart wrestling with Shadow. What
about you, Bob? What's your favorite match of all time?
Oh my God, man!
And you can tell us down below in the comments what your favorite is, also, or that I'm right about WrestleMania.
No. Well, you're wrong. Any comments that say Yuli was right will automatically get deleted.
That's how we run things on the wrestling channel.
That's it. Yuli is never right.
Oh man!
I think it's going to be a toss-up between
a toss-up.
Yeah.
That means he doesn't have, that means he doesn't have a
match and a singles match.
I think it's going to be a toss-up between Michael's Undertaker.
And which one?
Hell in a Cell?
Hell in a Cell, yeah.
All right, that's a good one.
Okay.
Michael's Undertaker or Flair Steamboat.
Which one?
Steamboat!
Woo! Dude, pick one. Pick one. It doesn't matter.
I want to see Ricky win, so there you go.
I would say Flair Steamboat.
Oh,
I didn't know Ricky Steamboat's son is a wrestler now.
Was.
Yeah.
Was, I think.
Was. Okay. I was like, okay. I
think he quit. He was in FCW, right?
Yeah. Matches went for as long as they did, and those guys were just going, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, those were 40-minute plus matches.
Those were great. I mean, I remember getting that Flair DVD, and it was. I watched the hell out of those matches.
On Flair's, I don't know if you guys listen to shoot interviews. Flair's shoot interview, he talked about how many people didn't see his best matches with Ricky Steamboat because they were in towns where nobody was recording. There was no TV.
They were international.
60 minutes, and nobody saw it except that live audience.
He said they wrestled at least 60 or 70 times.
Oh, a ton, man.
They wrestled.
And it was 2 out of 3 falls.
I was like, since you mentioned favorite matches, another one of my favorite, Undertaker versus Undertaker at the Survivor Series.
Oh gosh,
you didn't like that?
I'm not. I don't know which one was that.
It's not on my list. It's not on my list.
Undertaker versus Undertaker.
I mean,
it's rough, man. I understand where you're coming from.
When they revealed that there was a second Undertaker, everybody was like,
Hey man, I love putting those things back together in my head in such a way to make those all work out really cool. But sometimes it wasn't all so cool.
It's like going back and watching the Dukes of Hazzard. It was terrible.
Oh,
How dare you?
Oh no!
How dare you?
As a kid, it was great.
Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan at
I will
WrestleMania.
That's
transport back
amazing.
in time
That's
if I
amazing.
watched the Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan is good because I remember that.
I was so innocent.
That's because
When I
childhood
was a kid-
boogie's like, oh my gosh, the both belts on the line.
Yeah.
Oh,
When I was a
Oh.
kid, I loved that match, man.
that match was so crazy. Oh,
Yeah.
so
It was
great,
just it was the pageantry of it was
dude.
just
It was my I was born in 1981, so when
Yeah.
that match took place, Little Boogie's like, oh my gosh, my
Little
two
Boogie.
favorite wrestlers.
yeah.
Bro,
Oh,
when we do the
God.
next show, you got to have your name as Little Boogie.
Little Boogie.
Have your name as Little Boogie, man. I love it.
If you remind me, I'll do it, and then I'll do this too, just for John Malin.
I was like, Little Boogie, man. I was like, yo, I love it.
That was a chat
funny.
room gut.
Little bit. Man, we just blow through these shows, man.
Dude, this is the best episode.
This
we've
is the
done.
best episode. Can't clip one part here.
God, this was awesome.
Good job, Antonio.
I don't know.
Bravo.
I'm just saying. I want to keep going. I don't know.
You got to leave them wanting more.
You gotta leave one or more. Yeah, that's the whole. We're formatted. It's supposed to just be an hour broadcast, and we're supposed to get the hell out of here.
That's right.
And then
The only way we could stay open longer is if there was like super chats or something like
Oh,
that.
look at you doing work.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
I said open like I was a store. Come buy comic books.
like,
I've never
I'll-
done that on Talking Balls before. I've never said we'll keep streaming, and we went 40 minutes over because people were doing super chats.
Really?
I've never done that ever.
when the super chats are flowing, we go.
Well,
we keep going.
Do not go offline when they're coming in.
But
Yeah.
that
That's
that
like a
sucks.
crap table, right? You don't leave it if you're winning.
When you're hot, you're hot.
Oh man, I'm going 12 hours straight.
Oh no, Wrestling Council 12-hour marathon. Eventually, but that's the thing. Just like a broadcast on AEW Dynamite or NXT Raw, it has to come to an end.
We gotta go.
But we will be. Who's hosting next week? Which one of you guys?
Be back on the S and Sign B network. I'll leave it.
Subscribe to Boogie because check my channel, my favorite channels and stuff. You'll see Yuli's channel in there. Actually, Bob, we got to put your channel in there as well. But I've got Yuli and I've got we got to get everybody in there. So because Bob's going to be in the rotation as well. We are going to bring this to you live each and every week. Aren't we even doing the Thanksgiving broadcast? That's going to be fun.
We'll be on my channel Thanksgiving night.
Oh, man.
I'll be so full
Are
of
we
turkey.
watching like a Survivor series or something?
Should we do that? Should we watch that?
I'll say we should do.
Oh wait, there is going to be a Survivor series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we should talk about our favorite Thanksgiving Survivor Series matches, man.
I'm going to tell you my most hated moment. How's
A
that?
lot of homework for me. I'll just say the gobbledygooker and move on.
Oh, what was that? Mondo?
I don't even remember.
Which Guerrero was that?
I don't know. That was pure Vince, man.
I
Hey man, if you're going to do it, you can do it.
Should just step down and let Triple H handle everything.
He should, but he
I
won't. He'll have to die first.
But
You got to exercise him then. Then once he dies, you got to like piss on his corpse or something.
Gonna haunt the
Decapitate it.
Oh no! Hold on. Okay, we got a super chat $2. Eddie Winkler. Boom. All right, let's see here. Do a live chat while watching Survivor Series.
You know what?
I'll be working.
I would
do
love
that
to
one
do a live reaction show.
We did that on Talking Balls. We watched the full game. The only problem is you're going to get delayed coming to YouTube. So you basically the people in the live chat have to pause the show and then get caught up at the right time, or else everything's messed up. But it was so much fun.
Really?
Something we can look at in the future. Maybe we can do it. Maybe if we continue to build this show, maybe we can do it for like a WrestleMania or something. But are people really going to listen to four idiots talk during WrestleMania? I don't know.
Yes, they will.
They do it for friggin' Wrestle Talk.
I like Wrestle Talk though.
Yeah.
Wrestle Talk.
I saw there's that reminds me before we leave. I saw a sign in AEW's crowd with Wrestle Talk. So It'd be really cool to see the wrestling council out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm pushing this on Reddit right now, man. It takes 30 days before you can create your own channels and everything out there. But once we do, I think we're gonna push there, and we're gonna start getting this thing pushed forward.
All right.
Keep grinding, man. Keep grinding.
Yeah. It's just audience is growing every week. We've been consistent. That's the key to this, is to keep, we're not broadcasting at different sporadic times. It's consistent. We're all tweeting it out and promoting. So yeah, I've noticed the audiences and the chat, it's been very enthusiastic.
It's a great chat tonight. We enjoyed you guys hanging out.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming out. But we will definitely be back and be boogieing with my man Little Boogie next week.
Little
Boogie, man. And we hopefully Mr. Malin will rear his head and look at Boogie's face with the mic right in front of it yet again. But until then, guys, check us all out. I've got, all of our Twitter follows and all that in the description. If you're not following us already, obviously subscribe to Boogie, subscribe to Yulie, subscribe to Comic Book Bob. Get in where you fit in, baby. The Wrestling Council.
Oh, look at that right there.